Good morning. Good morning. It's Coach D. Anthony here with today's segment of Morning Minutes with Coach D. The topic for the day, silence, not exactly the best policy when it comes to grief recovery. So, a big part of why I started doing Morning Minutes with Coach D, these segments each morning, is because I wanted to encourage more engagement, more discussion, because as it turns out, engagement and discussion is a critical component of the healing process, of being able to sort out some of the pain and misery and begin to clear a path forward so that recovery and healing can actually happen. And beyond the morning minute segments, the reason that I established Stronger Than Grief, this group in and of itself, was to establish a safe and comfortable space where we could have these kinds of discussions, where you would be comfortable being able to ask the questions and bring some of the deep and painful topics to the surface so that we could look to address some of those, discuss them, and clear a pathway through them. And I the reason why I made Stronger Than Grief a closed group is so that there would be comfort being able to discuss these topics, because what closed means is only people that are group members can actually see the things you post, can see the activity that you're posting. So this is a bit of a safe zone. You can ask questions, you can get support, you can bring up difficult topics and have a sense of comfort that the people that you are concerned about being able to see, those that are in your family, that are among your loved ones that might not understand, since they're not members of the group, then there can be a greater sense of comfort being able to bring those topics up and discuss them. So again, I invite you to begin to step forward, begin to address some of those topics. Again, simply begin to talk about things in general. You don't even have to go deep initially. You can talk about things that are closer to the surface until you feel more comfortable. Why is that so key? It turns out that when we aren't talking about the things that are going on, the thoughts, the things that are going on in our minds, our feelings, and things of that sort, what happens is we're essentially locking all of that inside of ourselves. And it's basically just festering. And is bringing a sense of weight to you, is bringing negativity to you, is taking you out of balance. It is in many ways responsible for a lot of the pain that we as survivors can tend to carry in a much deeper way and for much longer than we ever really needed to carry. And a big part of that is about not having an outlet. So perhaps you've tried to talk to people that are around you, loved ones, family, and gotten rebuffed or gotten responses back that did not help in the healing process. And to tell you the truth, that's actually understandable because they don't know what to say. How can they tell you what they don't know? How can they support you in ways that they aren't equipped to support you? Because the reality is, in this society, we're conditioned to avoid grief, to avoid the topic of death for as long as we possibly can. That's why when we get hit, we're so ill-equipped to be able to address the issues. Well, it's the same thing with most of them. They've been avoiding it as well. But we don't want to continue to let that fester. We don't want to continue to hold those thoughts and hold those feelings in. We need a space. And that's what Stronger Than Grief can be for you if you are willing to allow it. Stop holding those thoughts in, stop holding those feelings in, and at least take a small step today, tomorrow, each and every day to begin to let a little bit of it out, a little bit more, a little bit more. So don't continue to hold this stuff in. This is a safe space for you. Ask the questions, bring the topics to the forefront, and you just might get the kind of support that you need to help lighten some of the weight and help you begin to see things in a very different way. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I put so much time and energy into this group and into the posts and the morning minutes and everything else that I'm doing to help create a path for you to begin to move forward. So in order to make the point, I wanted to maybe lighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to turn to, once again, my very first book, The Nurse in the Delivery Room Slapped Me Once, Stories and Perspectives to Help You Unlock Your Amazing Potential. And I'm going to turn to one of my little short but favorite stories, Little Billy Syndrome. So here goes. Life is not meant to be spent in the bleachers. Instead, living is about being part of the game. Living, truly living, entails empowering behaviors like challenging yourself, just doing it, taking a chance, having an opinion, and stepping up to the plate when the crowd is against you. How many times in life do we have a view and fail to express it? How many times could we potentially make a difference only to talk ourselves out of it? How many times do we convince ourselves that our ideas and opinions simply aren't good enough and wouldn't be of interest to others? How many times do we avoid the opportunity to contribute a voice to the outcome for fear that we might say the wrong thing? How many times will we allow avoidance to define not only today's reality, but tomorrow's potential? I'm reminded of a humorous anecdote I came across some time back. Little Billy had managed to make it all the way to the age of 6.5 without ever uttering a word. The doctors could find nothing wrong with him and employed the parents to keep working with him until a breakthrough came to pass. One summer day, his mother, as she'd done in so many instances prior, gave him a sandwich and juice for his early afternoon lunch. Walking away from the table, she was startled to hear the words, "This sandwich is dry." Rushing back to the table with tears forming in her eyes, she cheerfully cried, "Billy, you spoke. I can't believe it. And after all this time, your first words were a complaint about your sandwich?" Billy responded, "Well, up to this point, things have been pretty good." The story ends there, but I can't help wondering what Billy's mom did next. Well, suffice it to say, I believe I have a pretty good idea how my mom would have responded at that instant. More to the point, however, don't we regularly fail to compliment and support the good in favor of pending complaints about the next problem? At least until we manage to lose the good thing upon which we take license to complain about our undeserved loss. What does it cost to say what you think, to have an opinion, to engage in the topic at hand, to be engaged with the relevant things happening around you? Once, while on summer break from college, an inquisitive 9-year-old requested I teach her some Spanish. I confessed that honestly I hadn't really retained a lot of Spanish from the many classes I'd taken back in high school. Somewhat dejected, she gazed at me and responded, "I don't understand. If you had to be there anyway, why didn't you just learn?" It was one of the few times in my life that I found myself completely speechless. So, in that same vein, I ask you, if you're going to be here anyway, why not truly live? And it's in that same vein that I ask you today, if you truly want to find a path to healing, if you truly want to find your way out of this devastating misery and pain and start to reconnect with life again, reconnect with you again, why not, starting today, begin to re engage? Stop holding your thoughts and feelings and questions inside. Stop letting that negativity fester without an outlet, without an avenue for resolution. Starting today, I encourage you, I invite you to make use of this safe space within Stronger Than Grief to begin to step out of this, to ask your questions, to bring up your topics, to begin to have a voice again and feel comfortable that you're not going to be judged, and begin to find some of that healing that you so desperately need. So, with that, we're going to sign off for today. As always, wishing you your very best possible day. And again, I want to encourage you, along with exactly what we've been talking about today, comment, comment, comment below. What are your questions? What are your thoughts? How does this hit you? Let's hear it. Let's get the conversation started. Let's get the healing started. If that's what you're looking for, you're in the right space. So let's take some steps forward and let's not have little Billy syndrome. Have a good day. Talk to you tomorrow.